Hello and welcome to the Midday News here on Joy News on Multi TV. In the headlines, the Memorial Week for the late Preston Mills has started with a choral night. In attendance was President John Dramani Mahama, his vice, as well as some ministers of state and family members. The Office of the District Assembly Common Fund reacts to a Send Ghana report which faulted district assemblies for misappropriation of the Common Fund. Also this afternoon, private universities are not happy about the fact that they are no longer exempt from taxes. We'll be getting a reaction from the colleges. And if you live in a Western region and you're a tenant, you should be bracing up as landlords in the Secondary Takoradi metropolis are ejecting tenants to re-rent to migrants at higher rates. We have all these plus some international showbiz and sports news coming up. Please stay with us. Now, the Memorial Week to mark Professor John Evans Atta Mills' passing kicked off with a choral festival yesterday. President John Dramani Mahama, Vice President Kwesi Bekwai Mr. Arthur, Samuel Kofi Mills, as well as other family members and ministers of state attended the ceremony. As the audience reflected on the life of the late president, they couldn't help but dance to the melodious tunes and renditions from the Winneba Youth Choir, the Dansoman Youth Choir, and Rehoboth Temple Choir. Stella Seal and Tego Sisters also featured. Now, some traders at the Koforidua Central Market in the Eastern Regional Capital have made a passionate appeal to government to consider reducing fuel prices. Their plea follows recent fuel price increases announced by the National Petroleum Authority. According to the traders, if something is not done about the situation, it will have a negative impact on them and their businesses. Haruna Yusuf Wumpeni reports.
According to the traders, they were shocked when it was announced that fuel prices have been increased for the second consecutive time in 7 months.
Central market and the market
Manager in charge of Total 2, 3 and 4 filling stations, Isaac Brewu, confirmed that the mother station in Accra gave the directive to increase the fuel on the 17th of July 2013.
Total gave us directives that we should increase as from this date. They give a certain date. The date was yesterday, that's 17th July. Therefore, once they have given us the date, we must go by it. And so if the drivers are saying that we have old stock and therefore we should sell at the old price, it's neither here nor there.
Haruna Yusuf's report for Joy News.
Now, away from Koforidua, the long-standing impasse between residents of Nkrofo in the Elembele district of the Western region and Adamus Resources Limited, a mining company operating in the area over the ownership of a 25-acre concession, has reached a boiling point as security personnel from the Regional Security Council have invaded the site and seized machines and other items belonging to the small-scale miners now operating on the land. Meanwhile, members of the Small Scale Miners Association have vowed to resist this development because they have documents to show their right to work on the land. Here's a report by our Western Regional correspondent, William Benjamin Peters.
According to a report put together by a committee set up by the then Minister for Mines and Natural Resources in 2011, the current impasse could be dated back to the past non-formalized gold mining arrangement that was instituted by Frank Russell, the then Managing Director of Ngrofo Mining Limited, between the company and the Ngrofo artisanal mining operators on the former's prospecting property at Ngrofo. Adamos Resources Limited, however, entered into a sale and purchase agreement in 2006 with the Union Mining Limited, which formed Ngrofo Mining Limited, by which Ngrofo Mining Limited transferred all its shares to Adamos Resources Limited, which allowed Adamos Resources Limited to become the sole shareholder and controller of Ngrofo Mining Limited. Following the above transfer arrangement, the non-formalized agreement between the former holder and the artisanal miners was not regularized in the new dispensation, thus generating the current token impasse. About 6,000 small-scale miners have been operating at the site all this while until the invasion of the area by security personnel who, joint news gathered, were deployed by the Western Regional Security Council to embark on an operation to flush out the small-scale miners from the site. Sheds were burnt amid heavy security presence, which deterred the miners from approaching. They alleged the farmers are being prevented from entering their farms, especially those whose farms are around the concession. One of the farmers, Cecilia Bonzu, shared her ordeal with Joy News.
I'm not here to see a quafu. I am not Midday. You could do when a soldier first saying, I see a man. Into your moon, I'm quite this walk. I could this amania say. A soldier far baby on wedge, man, say, I'm quite for my unity. Yeah, quite for a double baby, a quite soldier first saying now.
Meanwhile, the small-scale miners organized a peaceful demonstration, claiming they also have a document to prove their case that the concession has been blocked for the community by the Minerals Commission. The small-scale miners, led by the executives and the chief of Ngrofo, sent a copy of the minerals cadastre map to the DCE for the area for verification. The DCE for Elembele, Daniel Ishen, spoke on the matter.
We visited the chief. And they told those people on the ground that the security agencies will come again and they will do the right thing. That was the word that the regional minister used. So yesterday they came, and around 10 o'clock the commanders also came to me and officially reported to the assembly that they are here to do these operations as president directed. That's why they are there. But so when they're going to finish for that one, they were not able to say it because they were saying that it will depend upon the operations.
The chief of Ngrofo, Nana Kwesi Kutia V, also in an interview, said he was in total support of the activities of his people since they are not receiving any benefits from the operations of Adamos as a community, and again, he was not privy to the commencement of the operations of the mining company.
It was clear that the Minerals Commission has already ceded that area to the small-scale association. They have already blocked the area, and we just went to the district chief executive to present him a copy. So it is very clear. I think that Adamos want to intimidate the whole community because they are very much aware that the place doesn't belong to them, and they have to abdicate the area.
The secretary to the Ngrofo small-scale miners, Midday Nyoma, also claimed they have a genuine case and assured colleagues to exercise patience to get redress through the appropriate quarters.
Right now, you've been given permission to go and do the EPA license, which is in progress now. And our name has been entered on the cadastral map, which means that we have been allotted that place.
Well, the latest twist to that particular development is that we reached Adamos Resources last night, and their community relations manager says that indeed Adamos got the concession from the Minerals Commission, and so they have every right to actually operate in that area. Even though they haven't started the operations yet, they intend to do so soon. So they are asking the aggrieved small-scale miners to also cross-check with the Minerals Commission if they have any concerns. But away from that, Ghana's open door hospitality seems to be aggravating her own woes. With the influx of roaming manicurists in the country, efforts aimed at reducing the spread of HIV/AIDS in particular could be frustrated. The following report takes a look at the activities of roaming manicurists, popularly known as Abuchi.
Of malfeasance at a firm that we can now say the guy at the top who oversaw this somehow missed it. Maybe there were red flags.
Place for anyone who wants to have a manicure or pedicure. However, the manicure business has taken a different, fascinating dimension. In Ghana, there are self-styled manicurists who have come all the way from Niger to Ghana in search of greener pastures. Since peasant farming, which is the main occupation there, depends on weather conditions. 22-year-old Nasiru Bukari at Abosokai Zabo Zongo tells us he has been in the manicure business for 2 years.
Na tarra aikin gare zalla shi dai muka yi lokacin ban zo da wani kamar haka business ba, in zo da kudi aka in fara business. Na zaka na fara cire akai fannin ne, amma ko da na zo da yawa ma na iya. Sai na karasa ciki domin kasashe da dama ina zuwa Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Fatakul duka. Sai bara wacce na to bari in zo in jarraba Ghana kamar irin storin da aka yi ciki. Mutanen mana zo na bari in zo in ga lafiyar garin.
Nasiru Bukari says with just 30 cedis, one can get into the manicure business. He tells us more on his daily proceeds minus tax.
Eto, farkon da na fara zuwa na samu 3 CD kama gobe na koma kuma na karkare da yanzu ina karba 30 pesos 40 pesos duka.
According to Nasiru, he needs 3 instruments, including a bottle of soapy water for his business, a soapy water to soften the nail, a piece of metal to scrape the nail, another for cutting, and one more pair fastened against the thumb and the forefinger, which are slapped against each other to attract customers. He uses methylated liquid as sterilizer for his tools, although he had none to show at the time. The news team was thrilled when Nasiru revealed that he sharpens the edge of his tools at the Abosokai abattoir. Here, scores of manicurists had also gathered to sharpen their tools. Attempts to talk to those who do the sharpening proved futile. We decided to go to Tudu, a suburb of the central business district of Accra, where we were told is the hub of this unhealthy practice. At Tudu, something caught the attention of the news team. This gentleman, a Ghanaian, has been in the business for close to 20 years.
$50 per Swiss. And 50 per Swiss. 1 CD. Anke fang chi baka kafadi. Domnena yam fito haka. Full day banyanka ke fako mutum guda ba.
Some members of the public, ignorant of the activities of these roaming manicurists, have been explaining why they patronize their services.
Now we feel now moso ba na we say okay we got tabule na bi na obatima twetwa wo sano na na ba twetwa wo nan no oba ma no no oyede a ontimi nche on twetwa na moja bam ba o kaza ya na onimi ya aya na metwa ina moja ai gugu mi san ina sa.
It's good because if they finish they just come out the bread for this thing inside the tray and we're there. They use their spirit clean it. So I'll be seeing it in my face. So because the one they'll be doing new breed.
But professional manicurists say the roaming manicure business does not affect them much.
Because there are some people who prefer the salon more than the ones there.
So it's obvious the manicure business is booming here in Accra until punitive measures are taken against these merchants of diseases, as I prefer to call them. The success of Ghana's attempt to reduce the spread of HIV/AIDS and other diseases will continue to hang in the balance. Ridwan Karim Dini Osman, Joy News, Accra.
Away from the manicure business, private universities in the country have called for an immediate restoration of their tax-exempt status. Until recently, private universities in Ghana were exempt from the payment of corporate tax in accordance with Section 10(1)(d) of the Internal Revenue Act. Section 10(1)(d) of the Act exempts income accruing to or derived by an exempt organization from other than income from business. Section 94 of Act 592 defined exempt organizations as religious, charitable, or educational institution of a public character. The Internal Revenue Act, Act 592, was amended by Act 859 in May this year with the aim of bringing private universities into the tax net. But the development, according to the Conference of Heads of Private Universities in Ghana, is detrimental to the interest of university education and Ghana's development planning. There are 63 private colleges and universities admitting 26% of students who enter universities every year. In the 2012-2013 academic year, the private universities had an enrollment of 50,000 students. But won't this be passed on to the students that's affecting enrollment, especially seeing as this year is admitting 2 batches of graduates? Well, let's get some more clarification on this particular issue from the head of the private Conference of Heads of Private Universities in Ghana. Hello, good afternoon to you, sir, and thanks for joining us on the Midday Brief on Joy News.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so first of all, let me find out from you, what exactly are your fears with the introduction or with the removal or reversal of your tax-exempt status?
Well, let me just to your listeners, I am Professor Manienpi of Pentecost University College, the Vice Rector.
Yes, sir.
Yes, as a private university, let me just tell you a few of our motives of establishing a private university. As a church, this is a mission. We want to contribute to higher education and not necessarily to expect returns. We want to make sure that the challenges facing the country, the educational challenges facing the country is access. Without private universities, there will be most of our students will not get the opportunity to get higher education. And the private universities have come in to help in that particular direction. Now, paying tax, we don't have a problem. We need to pay tax to be able to help our country to grow. However, when it comes to private universities, we need to be able to look at examples from other places. In some developing countries, and I can quickly, what comes to my mind is Pakistan. The government even ensures that they can provide even land for private education developers to get access to land. They even come up with grants to establish and expand private universities. They even come up with grants to ensure that you can educate the lecturers to have terminal degrees. And they have tax holidays. Now, the moment you begin to tax private education providers, you are killing initiative. Remember, private universities have come in to help Ghana to diversify into other areas which our public universities have not been able to do.
But Prof, sorry to cut in at this point, but as a private entity, as a private educational institution, yes, but at least at the end of the day, you also do make some money because you do charge the students' fees. And some have even argued that the private universities and colleges tend to charge even higher than the state-owned universities and tertiary institutions. So if you are being asked to also contribute a little to the tax net, isn't that fair?
No, what we should be looking at is, do we want to develop private universities? Do you want to private universities to go into areas that public universities have not been able to do? Now private universities is trying to ensure that we can go into the sciences, and these cost money. And if most of the funding are coming from the churches, most of the funding are coming from donors. Yes, we charge fees, but I can tell you, these fees are just to be able to pay for the lectures that we take on. Most of the infrastructure is coming from donors. So these are the realities on the ground. And I know a lot of people are thinking of the business motive, but I can tell you the business motive is just very little. Just very little. We need to be able to develop infrastructure as a private university, stand on our feet to be able to help the government. We are talking about public-private partnership. This is the essence of having a public-private initiative so that we can help government to actually provide. I mean, government is supposed to provide education for its citizens. And here we are. We have come in that dimension, providing education in very diverse areas.
Okay.
We have to just basically claw back any profit that we can get for infrastructure development.
Okay, a point well noted, but my final question to you would be, so let's say this tax is going to go ahead, I'm sure, by all means. Will we see a trickle-down effect? Is it going to reflect in the fees the students pay now, since you say, of course, you have to expand your infrastructure and all that, and you have to also depend on donor partners and the churches to survive?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, once you are going to tax private universities, the other effect is that the fees are going to go up because we need to be able to have some sort of money to be able to go into infrastructure. And I believe that it is in the right direction. Taxes are good, but if other countries are taking the lead in helping private universities, we should do the same. Look, an educated citizen is far better than having non-educated citizens. And I believe that the government have a duty to provide education for its citizens, and therefore the government should support private education.
So, quick one before I let you go, even though I said that was my last question. If government comes to your aid with, say, provision of land and other infrastructure you need to train Ghanaian students, would you then be willing to pay the taxes?
Well, if the government comes to aid and we know that, yes, we are being strongly supported, so that we can be firmly on the ground to contribute our quota to develop the country, why not? Taxes must be paid by all citizens.
Okay.
As it is now, that is not the situation.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, Professor Omani Enchi. He's the Vice Rector and Dean of the Pentecost University College. And he was talking to us about the tax that is supposed to, the tax-exempt status of private universities that has been revoked. But away from that, after 21 years of protracted chieftaincy dispute, Odeneho Nana Kwafo Akoto III is confirmed paramount chief of the Akwemu traditional area in the eastern region. Addressing the people during the Akwemu Man Akwesidai, he pledged to develop the area and ensure peaceful cohabitation of all factions.
For the first time after 21 years, the people of Akwemuman are celebrating their Akwesidai in unity with an accepted paramount chief in state. The colorful traditional ceremony brought together all sub-chiefs of the 23 Akwemu states, traditional and religious leaders, kinsmen, indigents, among other groups. The usual pomp, pageantry and display of culture and music and dance were not missing. People of Akwemufie, this was a moment they had longed for. They poured libation in thanksgiving to the gods for ending the long-standing conflict and for bringing peace to Akwemuman. The Akwemu chieftaincy dispute began after the demise of the Omanhene Nana Kwafo Akoto II in 1992. The bitter legal battle between Yansa and Yabuche royal gates over who is the rightful heir to the throne divided the community into two factions. The case, which appeared in court, was withdrawn and settled by an arbitration committee, which finally ruled that Odeneho Nana Kwafo Akoto III of Yabuche royal gate should be maintained as Omanhene. The dispute is known to have stalled development in the area, especially in education, and this the youth expects the new chief to tackle.
In terms of leadership skills, he has it. And what we expect from him is to uplift the education standards of our people. It got to a point in time where even when you go to some of the towns of Akwamu land, we never found somebody qualifying to go to secondary school, which we thought it wise if he will put measures in place to make sure education standards goes up. It will be one thing that will be remembered in the books of Akwamu if he's able to do that.
Both the Queen Mother and new Paramount Chief of the Akwamu traditional area share their vision for the area.
I ma for cry walk as you my hand I say walk Akwamu memha. Ya form yakika ye ho abom ama they didn't point to do maybe actually and to say ye be ko schools near ne a teacher for them of frana kasa fa employee san ho suku a won sua de e think na be ma na sua de na e ma nyina sua de ti e de ato ye ho so a em say ye fitu anamon a eguso ni won di nkika ho se ne be ya won so da ache o wa be si ya nine.
This victory is bringing all Akwamus together to deliberate, to find way of putting up a strategic plan for the people of Akwamu. A strategic plan that will produce more professionals, a short term and a long term. And this, all of us know, I cannot do it alone. I need people of Akwamu, people who have depth knowledge in education, in other professions, to help build Akwamu.
They both plan to turn the natural resources in the area into viable opportunities for employment and development of Akwamu. Abigail Adumakwenji for Joy News.
This is the midday brief here on Joy News. We take a quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the Office of the District Assembly's Common Fund, DACF, has responded to some aspects of a Send Ghana report, which was released and published on July 16, 2013. According to the DACF, even though they appreciate the importance of civil societies to raise issues of national character, the approach adopted by Send Ghana without regard to the actual facts prevailing is quite unfortunate, and states that some of the issues raised were far from realities on the ground. DACF indicated that reading the main findings from the executive summary shows that Send Ghana does not understand the workings of the fund. For instance, it makes reference to statutory and non-statutory deduction categorization, which does not apply to operations of the DACF. Send Ghana, in launching its report on the management of public finance for effective local development from the perspective of the DACF, made certain conclusions about the Office of Administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund. Well, joining us on the phone line now is the country director of Send Ghana, George Osei Bimpe, for some reaction to this particular situation. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Bimpe, and thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Okay, first of all, how do you respond to the criticism from the District Assembly's Common Fund? They say from the findings you put out, it seems you do not understand the workings of the District Assembly's Common Fund.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think that we are very disappointed in the way that they have even used certain words. We wouldn't want to go that line, but we would want to set the record straight. In the first place, we read that we have not consulted them prior to the release of our report. I must say that we find this to be quite unfortunate, because on the 18th of January, we went straight to their office in the presence of the administrator of the Common Fund, one gentleman known as Sami, and another colleague of just three officials from the Secretariat. In their own office, we validated our results, and we'd never had that kind of reaction, knee-jerk reaction from them. And so to say that we have not consulted them is quite quite baffling, because
so then, sorry to cut in, so then you consulted them, but they did not cooperate with you. Is that what you're saying?
We wouldn't say they did not cooperate. We had a very nice and frank discussion, which even led to the delay of our report, because we needed to rely on recent data, which was the recent report from the Auditor General. And so it's quite interesting. And especially when certain things have been effected 6 months after we had met them, 5 months, that is in May, they say that because those things have been effected, we should disregard the recommendations and the findings we make. That is quite, disingenuous, if I may put it that way, because we had already drawn their attention to the challenges that were coming from the ground, and then the evidence that we had, gathered from the many Auditor General reports. And when I have time, I will demonstrate to you the evidence that we have, which they have not been able to dispute that. And so we find it quite interesting that they would put up this press release just to do damage control. And I think this is not helpful because as a country, what we want is not this kind of exchange. What we should be using this forum for is how we forge ahead in a way that will resolve the challenges that is affecting them, and the way they're going to go about it is quite unfortunate.
Okay, let me just read a part of the statement that they issued to you. It says on page 3 that it's important to place on record that the recommendations made in the report on the issue of deductions have long been dealt with before Send Ghana report was released last week, and so it was important for the NGO to have contacted the appropriate outfits on this matter before releasing a misleading and half-truth report.
My brother, I think I have just addressed that. What is a long time ago? These issues started in the issue that they are talking about started in only May. In the first instance, we have not made any reference to the year 2013 in the report. We have been talking from 2005 to 2012.
Okay.
So they themselves have not read the report. They do not understand the report, or they want to just do a PR gimmick just to cover things up. But that is not where we want to go. For example, they talk about the raise issue about the misappropriation and the mismanagement that we talk about. And my brother, if quickly I may refer you to the Auditor General's report and read portions to you. This is the 2010 report. Captions on receipted deductions at source by DACF. That amounted to about a little over 10 million. I will not even bother you to read that, but I will read something under lack of transparency.
Briefly.
The utilization of DACF deduction at source. That is the Auditor General report. This is not our report.
Okay.
It says that my previous report on the management and utilization of the DACF for the year ended December 31, 2009. It goes that during the third financial year, the administrator of the DACF made deductions at source totaling 85 million. I'll just mention over 85 million, representing 44.2% of gross allocation to the assembly.
Okay.
And it goes on to say that it is disheartening to know that despite the recommendations made in my previous report on the need to ensure transparency in the utilization of the source deductions, there have not been much improvement. My current report, that is the 2011, has disclosed that a total deduction of over 68 million, representing 31% of gross allocation, was affected by the administrator.
Okay, Mr. Bimpe, sorry to cut in, but we're running out of time. So essentially, the point you're trying to put across is that probably the District Assembly's Common Fund didn't even get the report. They don't quite understand the report, and they also didn't take cognizance of the duration within which you worked on the report, the years you took into consideration.
Exactly. Yet they have only read the executive summary, which is trying to average a 34-page report, and so they have not read the report, and they are just interested in defending the indefensible. We have the evidence. We have talked to the MMDAs. We have also used the Auditor General's report. So we have not manufactured anything.
Okay.
If there is anything to dispute, they should rather write to the Auditor General to dispute the findings.
Okay. I think we can leave it there for now. Judge Asai Bimpe, thank you very much for your time. He is the Country Director of Send Ghana, and he was reacting to a statement issued by the District Assembly's Common Fund's administrator, who says that The Send Ghana's report contains some half-truths. But away from that, as part of preparation to ensure that the police administration and personnel in the Eastern region are fully prepared to provide the requisite security for crowd-related violence, the Director General in charge of operations of the Ghana Police Service, COP John Kudalo, has reminded personnel to exhibit competence and professionalism for public safety in accordance with the international standard of police. And here's a report by Haruna Yusuf Wompini. The visit by the Inspector General of Police is to inspect and assess the police personnel in the region. The visit was also to enable the top hierarchy inspect existing equipment and vehicles and other logistics. Briefing the media, the Director General in charge of operations, COP John Kudalo, said the police administration is about effective planning and organization. He reiterated the administration's commitment to ensure that post-election security challenges are adequately managed so that the security of the country is not compromised. COP John Kudalo reminded the police personnel the task ahead of them and urged them to be committed and dedicated to their work. He said their main focus should be to protect life and property, adding that the police in the region will be equipped with the needed logistics and also help create an enabling environment for their smooth operation.
Taking notes of what they lack and what they have and the operations they are doing, made the necessary corrections and suggestions to them so that they'll be able to contain any public order management situation that may arise in the country. We hope that nothing will happen, but we always train for worst scenarios because policemen must always be ready. We're just going around testing our readiness and then seeing how our men are on the ground, how fit they are, and especially how conversant they are with the equipment, especially the new ones that we have for them.
From the eastern region, let's move to the western region, where housing there has taken an interesting twist as landlords, especially in the Sekundita Takoradi metropolis, are ejecting their tenants to re-rent to migrants at a higher cost. The Western Regional Senior Rent Officer at the Rent Control, Abubakar Swalihu, is worried about the situation as well as the dollarization of rents. Here's a report by William Benjamin Peters.
These people at the Office of the Rent Control have rental disputes and are here for mediation and settlement. Some complained their landlords are forcing them out so they can re-rent the rooms to migrants who can pay higher rates. Many here are also being forced out for reasons such as renovation and re-renting to corporate companies locating to Sekundita Takoradi, mostly as a result of the oil fine. Joy News gathered that about 5 new cases of rent disputes are recorded daily, with over 350 cases recorded by the Rent Control from January till now. Rent disputes are recorded daily since the discovery of oil in the region. Again, many private apartments are now being converted to commercial structures, whilst many landlords have taken undue advantage of the situation to either increase their rent charges or eject the tenants to re-rent to migrants. Another worrying situation is many now quote their properties per the prevailing dollar rates. Joy News investigations revealed that in one of such cases before the Rent Control Office, a landlord is collecting as much as $36,000 from a tenant. Activities of real estate and rent agents have also shot up, with most of them charging high percentage. The Western Regional Senior Rent Officer, Abubakar Swalihu, in an interview said the situation has been fueled by high oil exploitation and the desire to make more money.
Indeed, I do believe that this has to do with the oil discovery, in that it is almost a situation in all the regions. But I have realized that Takoradi's recovery of possession of residential accommodation is exceptional, in that we receive averagely about 4 to 5 cases. And out of this, you will find about 4 being recovery of possession.
He cautioned that charging rents in dollars were illegal.
We are in Ghana, and our medium of exchange is cedi. So anything, other than this is clearly illegal.
But a landlord, Ebusuapenyi Busumakura, however, justified the recent activities of landlords in the metropolis.
Wakakade wasi oyelia waba hentiri no edena kutuano wa akosoro amma nkotimu hunu dam onam de marami fie hono wotete we na dam amaje dada onara na maje ni mama oye hono wa batete fie no tenantin pi wonwo ya mtiwe.
Most tenants, however, say they are appalled by the acts of landlords.
Well, we do hope the residents of Sekondi Takoradi actually get to resolve this particular issue. But let's move on now. According to the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, there is still anxiety in the country over the presidential election petition. Through WANEP Ghana's National Early Warning System, known as Ghana Warn, a number of human security threats have been identified from April to June 2013. These are increasing violent attacks, which include shooting, stabbing, clubbing, and butchering. Some of the attacks, especially in the Ashanti region, were suggestive of targeted attacks and require closer attention. Disaster-related incidents dominated by fire outbreaks as well as motor accidents, disease outbreaks and mining-related issues were also identified. The fire outbreaks show symptoms they are acts of arson. Armed robbery cases continue to surface despite community security collaborative efforts. Political and governance-related issues also became prominent within the period. While Ghana is noted to be fast maturing in addressing its democratic challenges, the time and context of these incidents call for vigilance and preparedness to protect the present stability of the country in order to eschew the negative experiences of other countries. The threats have been identified based on quantitative figures recorded under Ghana Warn and analyzed to show broader security implications for communities, groups, and the entire country. And on that note, we take another break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Let's do some international stories now. The Duchess of Cambridge has been taken to hospital in the early stages of labor. She travelled by car from the Palace of St Mary's in Paddington, West London, with her husband, the Duke of Cambridge. The couple do not know the sex of their first child, who will be third in line to the throne. A spokesman said things are progressing as normal, and the next official announcement is likely to be that of the birth. The world's press have been camped outside St. Mary's for days in anticipation of the birth. The due date had never been officially announced, but had widely been expected to be mid-July. Royal vehicles were seen at a back entrance to the hospital, with the announcement coming from Kensington Palace an hour and a half later. Two powerful earthquakes have struck China's northwest Gansu province, killing more than 50 people and injuring more than 300. The first earthquake near Dingxi city had a magnitude of 5.98 and was shallow, with a depth of just 9.8 kilometers or 6 miles.
Reports say just after the first earthquake, another 5.6 magnitude quake hit the same area. In 2008, an earthquake in Sichuan province left up to 90,000 people dead and millions homeless. At least 54 people have been killed and 337 injured, the Dingxing local government said on its official Sina Weibo microblog. A factory worker in Ming County said he felt violent shaking and ran to the yard of the factory plant immediately. The area has been hit by 371 aftershocks, according to the Earthquake Administration of Gansu province. At least 5,600 houses in the province's Zhangxian County were also seriously damaged, and 530 have collapsed, while some areas suffered from power cuts and mobile telecommunications being disrupted.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling coalition has won a solid majority in the upper house of parliament in elections, gaining control of both chambers and a mandate to press ahead with economic reforms. The win was an endorsement of the Liberal Democratic Party's Abenomics program, which has helped spark a tentative economic recovery in Japan. It was also a vindication for Abe, who lost upper house elections in 2007 during his previous stint as Prime Minister. Official results are not expected until later on Monday. But according to preliminary results collated by local media, the LDP and its coalition partner, New Komeito, won a combined 76 seats, gaining them a total of 133 of the 242 seats in the House, more than the 122 needed for a majority. The country's main opposition party, the Democratic Party of Japan, has just 59. We still have some sports and showbiz stories coming up. Please stay with us. Okay, in sports, as you probably are aware by now, most of the top flight teams in Europe are touring Asia, and Chelsea has been playing Malaysia 11. They actually played the match already, so we'll bring you highlights of that game between Chelsea and Malaysia 11.
Put him very highly here. Pacey fullback, can play in midfield as well. Enjoys getting forward. Will be a free kick to Chelsea. What a challenge coming in from Nosharul. Essendon's pass. Traore. Essendon again. It's a measured display by Chelsea against the Singer All-Stars. Didn't take too many chances. The ball around with confidence. The Browners pass here. Hazard. It's from a Belgian. And staying with that theme, Lukaku, it had sting. But the goalkeeper, Farizal Malias, did enough. To look lively. There's Ivanovic. There's a brief inquiry about possible handball. There goes the all-action De Bruyne. Traore for Chelsea. What a start! And it's the youngster who savours the moment, and why not? Broad smile on Traore's face. It's all gone blue. And Chelsea take the lead. A most impressive beginning to the game. Plenty of space afforded Kevin De Bruyne. And his speculative ball was left by Hazard. Here's De Bruyne in the centre forward position. Emphatic. Magnificent.
Well, Malaysia there losing to Chelsea, but the actual goal line was 4-1. They lost over there. But let's switch sports now. Let's do cycling. And you probably know by now that the Tour de France has ended, and the Kenyan-born British cycler Chris Froome actually maintained the yellow jersey till the end.
The final stage was all about glory and celebration, with the Centennial Tour taking the show to a new level with the sunset finish for the very first time. Briton Chris Froome of Team Sky was in sight of victory with a healthy 5-minute 3-second lead. The scenery was breathtaking at the start in Versailles, and with the real racing only starting in Paris, Froome had time for a quick puff and some celebratory champagne. The sun was setting in Paris as the race approached its climax. Welcome to the most famous boulevard in the world with a spectacular jet stream in the French colours. Froome's wingman in the mountains, Richard Porte, enjoyed the honour of leading the race onto the Champs-Élysées. 10 laps of 7 kilometres would follow as the real racing began. Mark Cavendish had won the stage 4 years in a row, making him the outright record holder by 2. But disaster would strike as he picked up a puncture on the 3rd lap and fell off the back of the peloton. But his team would pull him back into the main field and into the fight for the prestigious sprint win. Coming into the home stretch, it was André Greipel, Marcel Kittel and Mark Cavendish going head-to-head.
As Kittel starts to move, Greipel is there. Cavendish is on Greipel's wheel. Remember that Cavendish has never been beaten here.
For a ride by the Champs-Élysées, I will start training for the next season of the Tour de France. That's it for sports. Let's delve into the world of glitzerazzi now. After a night of glitz, glamour and entertainment, a 22-year-old accounting student has annexed the enviable crown of Miss Ghana. Giuseppina Befi, who represented the Eastern region during the finale of the pageant, becomes the 55th lady to wear the Miss Ghana crown. The 2013 edition of the Miss Ghana pageant was well patronized by a cross-section of Ghanaians. Reigning Miss World, Wen Jiayu, who arrived in the country last Thursday for the finale of the National Beauty pageant, set the mood for the night with a soothing Chinese tune. Then came performances from Ghanaian musicians Sherry Fagunu, Steve Betty, and High Life crooner Kwabna, who was joined on stage by the 20 finalists. As is tradition with the Miss Ghana beauty pageant, the finalists strut their stuff in swimwear and evening gowns designed with local fabrics. Prizes were presented to contestants who stood out in the various tasks they performed in the build-up to the finale. Then the number was reduced to 10. And finally, the top 5, which included Giuseppina, Michelle, Margaret, Crystal, and Destiny. But after a round of Q&As with the judges, it was Giuseppina Befi who walked away 3,000 Ghana cedis richer. In addition to that, she will receive a brand new car, 1-year ambassadorial service with the Miss Ghana Foundation, 1-year accommodation at the Miss Ghana official house, a ticket to represent Ghana at Miss World 2014, and other exciting prizes. Margaret Kuma Minta and Crystal Selom Amuji were judged first and second runners-up respectively. Okay, still in showbiz, it appears to me we're going to have a sort of another episode of a Chris Brown-Rihanna relationship here, because Nigerian musician Iyanya of Kukere fame says he will die for sultry Ghanaian actress Yvonne Nelson, who until recently was his girlfriend.
All my ladies,
The two lovebirds, who according to Yvonne went their separate ways 8 months ago, have been in the news lately for their love issues. They both denied they ever dated until things went sour, and Yvonne eventually admitted and opened up on what went wrong in the relationship. Even talking was probably not in good taste for Iyanya, as his response has been described by many as unkind. Iyanya did a freestyle tune to diss her, saying that all he wanted from Yvonne Nelson was her waist and nothing more.
Your waist, no emotions, all I want is your waist. No tears, no letters, no love, no nothing. All I want is your waist. Say, all I want is your waist. She ain't even know it.
Well, it appears Iyanya has had a change of mind and has actually said that he will die for Yvonne Nelson. In an interview with Nigerian TV personality Ebuka Obi Uchendu recently, he refused to speak in detail about the relationship, but clarified that the freestyle on Tim Westwood's show, where he said, Yvonne Nelson, I lost medicine, wasn't a dig at the actress. When asked who he would die for, dine with, and dust off, his answer was Yvonne Nelson, Genevieve Naji, and Tonto Dike, respectively.
So my condo.
Should we take his words? Well, maybe we might just take it at that. But before we go, a second look at our top stories. The Memorial Week for the late President Mills has started with a choral concert. It was held last night, and in attendance was President John Dramani Mahama, his Vice President, as well as ministers of state and some family members. The Office of the District Assembly Common Fund has reacted to a Send Ghana report which faulted district assemblies for misappropriation of the Common Fund, but Send Ghana says the assembly got it all wrong. Also in the bulletin, private universities are not happy about the fact that they are no longer exempt from taxes. And if you lived in the Western region, well, then you should be getting ready to pay more for your rent or be evicted by your landlord. That's it for this bulletin. My name is Nia Kofi Smatabe. Many thanks for your time.